To be able to bounce back in such spectacular fashion after being decimated in the Adelaide Test is the stuff cricketing legend is made of. And given how horrid a year 2020 has been, the Indian cricket team, led by Ajinkya Rahane, couldn't have given 1 billion people a better note to end this wretched year with. And to talk about what this means for the current Test series against Australia and for Indian cricket going forward, I am delighted to be joined in this edition of the News Track by Indian cricketing legend Sunil Gavaskar. We'll spend some time talking to him. After that, I'll also be joined on this broadcast by former cricketer Deepdas Gupta, Pradeep Magazine, Suman C. Raman, and our own cricket editor Vikrant Gupta, who's out in whites, I saw on Instagram, scoring a half-century himself. So if somebody else gets injured... Suresh Raina, not bad, Vikrant. So he's got his hand up in case it's required. One more batsman done. Sunil Gavaskar, welcome. Delight to have you. When we got bundled out for 36 at Adelaide, did you think you'd be here when the Boxing Day Test match gets over, celebrating and speaking about one of the most remarkable comebacks in Indian cricket?
Well, to be honest, not that I'd be celebrating an Indian comeback, but I was pretty confident that this team will not collapse like that again, because such collapses happen once in a blue moon. It happened many, many years ago when I was part of the team. And then after that, that's almost 40 odd years later, you had another collapse like that. So no, it's just that I was perhaps not not too confident of an Indian win, but that the Indian team would roll over was never the thing that entered my mind, because I knew that this team has the capability of coming back in the game. They've got some fabulous bowlers. They've got some very, very good batsmen. And I was just thinking that, you know, it can take a little time in Australia. But like everybody says, the team has shown great character in coming back, fighting back. And now this win, like everybody again has said, this is going to be one of the most famous wins in the history of Indian cricket.
In your book, Sunny Days, you write about the 1974 tour and the 42 all-out at Lords and how the Indian team completely collapsed throughout the entire series because of what happened in that one match. How do you compare what happened on your watch at Lords with the manner in which the Indian team bounced back between Adelaide and Melbourne?
I think you simply cannot compare, because that 1974 team went on to lose all the Test matches. This team has come back. So there is no comparison whatsoever. This team has done miles better than the 1974 team. And that's why, you know, kudos to them for the way they have come back. Kudos to them for the way they did not throw in the towel. Look, when you get out for 36, then, you know, a negative mindset can creep up. The bowlers, when we talk about, you know, what's so important, I think the new ball bowlers, they making sure that Australia did not get off to a 70, 90 or 100 for no loss on day one is the main reason why this comeback was possible. Because if at that particular point of time, the Australians had got off to a start, the team would have started thinking, look, this is not our tour. You know, when we played in Adelaide, everything we played was edged. Now the Australian batsmen are playing and missing, getting hit on the pads, but they still survive. And they've got to 80, 90 for no loss. So this does not look like our tour. That kind of a mindset can creep up. But because those early wickets were taken, that is the reason why the Indian team was then able to start thinking, no, we are still in the game. We did well for 2 days in Adelaide. We had a horrific 1 hour, but we can still do it, and they've shown us how to do it.
What did you make of Ajinkya Rahane's captaincy, stepping in for Virat Kohli when half the team had been changed, new players coming in, you're going deep into your bench strength? He was very calm on the outside, but very aggressive when it came to his tactics. What did you make of his captaincy in comparison with what Virat Kohli showed in the first Test and before?
Well, more than what I think, you had to be around the Australian commentary boxes to understand the kind of, you know, admiration that was there for the way he led the team among some of the former Australian legends who are in the commentary box. So that for me was such a heartening thing to be able to see, that he was being praised for his leadership by all these guys. Somebody like a Ricky Ponting, who has been one of Australia's most successful captains, the Adam Gilchrist, the Mike Husseys, the Shane Warnes, the Damian Flemings, they had nothing but praise for Ajinkya Rahane's captaincy.
There's been some chatter on social media about how India should look at getting an Ajinkya Rahane to possibly be captain in the long run. Let someone like a Virat Kohli express himself as a batsman and let someone take over in the manner in which Sachin Tendulkar did, making way for Ganguly and later for Dhoni. Is that something that's crossed your mind as well, Mr. Gavaskar?
I don't. I simply am not bothered about what the public media says. So let them say what they have to.
What do you think of this? The idea of having someone else apart from a Virat Kohli captaining India in the longest format?
My thoughts are very simple. Is that Ajinkya Rahane is a stand-in captain. And as a stand-in captain or as a stand-in opening batsman or a stand-in a new ball bowler or an off-spinner, because one of your guys is maybe injured or not available to play, the main guy, so you try and do your best at that particular point of time. And when the main guy is back again, ready, fit, you make way for that main guy to come.
What does this victory, according to you, signal for the next two test matches? Of course, this would give the Indian team a lot of confidence going into the third test match, no matter where it ultimately happens. But do you think it puts a lot of pressure on the Aussies now? So from the pressure being on us in Adelaide, now the entire pressure would be on the Australians?
Definitely, because you see, this is something that they're really not used to. Every time they've won the first test match, they have gone on to win the series. They've gone on to grind the opposition. This is what that didn't happen. I mean, if you had read some of the comments in the newspapers about some of the former Australian cricketers who were talking about a 4-0 win, that India will be blown over, etc., etc. Now you know what it is. It is not. This is not a team which is going to lie down and allow you to walk all over them. So yes, it augurs very well for the Indian team. The Australians have their own problems finding a good opening pair. They need to find somebody who can get in and get wickets when the fourth and the fifth bowler is required. So they have problems. They certainly do have problems. But even India has its own problems. They are also having to think about their opening batting position. They've also got to think in terms of that middle order, that 5-6 position. And the bowling, there is nothing to worry about. But it's that India needs to also look at some of these problems.
Sunny-bhai, Vikrant this side, two things. A, like you said, India versus Australia, the bowling, nothing much to choose between the two sides. In terms of batting also, India are better prepared. You keep those 90 minutes aside when India got all out for 36. They've scored a 250. They've also scored more than 300 runs. Australia, on the other hand, have scored 191, 195. They barely touched 200 today. Can we also say now that this is probably the weakest Australian batting lineup that we've seen in Australia against a touring Indian side?
I would think the weakest Australian batting lineup was in maybe 1977, 78, when India, went
because
there.
Of the Kerry Packer.
That was probably yes, that was probably its weakest batting lineup. But again, yes, I think lots of questions against this batting lineup because it's so dependent on David Warner and Steve Smith.
What did you make of the young Shubham Gill in his first match, seeming so confident? Do you believe this is a young boy who belongs to the biggest stage?
Well, it certainly appears so from the shots that he played, from the defense that he showed, from the temperament that he showed. Certainly appears that this is a long-term prospect for India. I'm only not 100% sure at the moment whether he should be batting at the top of the order or at number 5, because I think that is a position that will probably suit him even better. Because at the top of the order, he does take a few chances. And at the under-19 level, to the best of my recollection, he was not opening the batting. He was batting down the order, I think at 3 or 4. So maybe that is his real position as a middle order batsman. But no question about it that he's, if he continues to improve, India have a long-term prospect in their hands.
If you were speaking to a Chiteshwar Pujara or a Mayank Agarwal at this time, what would you be telling them? Given the form that someone like a Chiteshwar had in the last series to Australia and now struggling in the first innings that we've seen, what should he do to try and bounce back for the next test?
You should go and talk to the batting coach, Vikram Rathod. That's what I would tell him, because that's what people have been appointed for.
But should Mayank Agarwal also be talking to Vikram Rathod, or has he been talking to Vikram Rathod? Has Vikram Rathod sorted his backlift yet?
Well, you'll have to ask them that, and you'll have to check with them. But Mayank Agarwal has shown over the last year and a half very good temperament. Look at the way he's batted against South Africa. Yes, these are difficult times, and every player goes through a lean patch. I would not be harsh on him. I would say give him another go when Rohit Sharma comes back. Give him another go. Let Rohit and Mayank open in the third Test match. This is what I would think, and it's up to Mayank now, having seen what has been happening, to be able to try and curtail that backlift, maybe narrow that stance that he has, and look to get better, because his temperament's been fantastic. Look at, he's at one stage, it looked as if he would be the fastest to get to 1,000 Test runs by an Indian.
2 double centuries.
That he hasn't got is because he's been playing against an absolutely fabulous new ball attack of the Australians.
Where do you think Cheteshwar Pujara is going wrong?
He's got some beauties. He really has got some absolute pearlers from the Australians. The one in Adelaide, which he had to play. The one here in the first innings, he got an absolute, terrific delivery. So there's not much that a batsman can do when a bowler bowls deliveries like that. In the second innings, I thought that maybe he was looking to finish the match off, so he played an uncharacteristic shot. This is not the kind of shot that you would see from Cheteshwar Pujara, particularly at the start of his innings.
And what about Ravindra Jadeja? With the bat, with the ball, and as a fielder, the impact that he added to the Indian team, and what this could mean for us going forward, not just in this series but even beyond.
Well, that is one of the bold decisions that this captain took, or the team management took, because to go in with Ravindra Jadeja as an all-rounder meant that the team had perfect balance. In the batting, it got a little bit of depth with Jadeja batting at 7. In the bowling, they got the extra option, which meant that some of their bowlers like Bumrah and Umesh Yadav could take a little bit of a breather while 2 spinners operated. And then as a fielder, we all know what a fabulous fielder he is. So yes, this was something that the team management has to be congratulated for, because they said we will go in with Pant at 6. Pant has got hundreds over here. We will then have Jadeja at 7. So that's the kind of bold forward thinking that was very, very impressive. And of course, Jadeja's performance was one of the best that has been seen for him.
And Ravichandran Ashwin too. And the manner in which he was rotated by Ajinkya Rahane, being brought in so early in the innings outside the subcontinental tracks, does that show the thinking prowess of Rahane as captain?
His belief in Ravichandran Ashwin as a bowler who will get you wickets. So that's an important aspect for any bowler, any player to be given that confidence by the captain. So that was it. And then I think what Rahane has done is he gave the bowlers a free hand. There wasn't too much interference. He was probably just going up to them and asking them if they wanted to continue bowling, because sometimes bowlers get tired. And and the captain has to be able to understand, right, this is the time to maybe give him a little bit of a spell, give him a breather, maybe change his end. And occasionally also talking to him about whether he should be bowling over the wicket, round the wicket. But basically letting the bowler do what he knows best, to keep on doing what has brought him into the Test team. When you try and interfere too much, then naturally the bowler gets confused, however experienced he might be. He wants a free hand, and I think Rahane gave that free hand to Ravichandran Ashwin.
So Mohammad Shami, Ishant Sharma, not being able to play because of injuries, and you had Siraj coming in. What did you make? He has this very young, dashing hairdo, but that apart, he impressed on the field as well. What were you making of his bowling?
Again, terrific performance. Our 2 debutants Shubman Gill, Mohammad Siraj, what a big role they played in this win. And Siraj, remember, he didn't get the new ball. He got, if he had got first bite of the cherry, as they say, if he had bowled along with Bumrah, who knows, he might have been able to do a little bit more. But his strength is also to be able to bowl, with the slightly older ball, the contrast swing or the reverse swing. His strength is that. And the way he trapped Cameron Green, another fine young prospect, but for the Australians, by bowling him away-going deliveries in the first innings and then bringing one back in to get him out LBW. That shows a thinking bowler. And if you have a thinking bowler, and if you have a heart as big as Mohammad Siraj showed, as he came on and on and on at the Australians, then you've got another fine prospect.
What does this say of the bench strength of the Indian team? You've seen Indian cricket over the decades. Rohit Sharma is not there, Ishant Sharma is not there, Umesh Yadav is not there, Mohammad Shami is not there. And yet we're able to produce, say, Shubham Gill, or we're able to produce a Mohammad Siraj, and they're coming in and delivering at the highest level at the first available opportunity. It's almost as if they were set and raring to go, waiting for their chance.
Well, that's the best thing, isn't it? And over here, the BCCI, which seldom gets praised, ought to be praised for the emerging tours, emerging teams tours that they do, for the India A tours that they do, for the India youngsters, the India under 19, India under 23 events that they organize, and they organize it. These are all sort of events where these teams, young teams, go and play in Australia, go and play in New Zealand, go and play in England, get experience, play more matches. And that is the reason why when it comes to making an international debut, they are much better prepared than if you have not gone and not had these experiences of touring overseas, playing against other countries. So the BCCI, for organizing all these events, all these tours, needs to be given plenty of credit.
And lastly, there's a bit of suspense over where the third test match will take place. Would India relish having another go at the Melbourne Cricket Ground before going to Brisbane?
Definitely, because over the years, if you have a look, the Melbourne Cricket Ground has also proved to be lucky. 1977-78, we won for the first time in Australia at the MCG. 1980-81, when Vishy scored 100, and then Kapil came and bowled on the last day, took 5 wickets, bowled non-stop. That again was an Indian win. 1985-86, but for the Australian umpires, we would have won a third consecutive time over there. But that didn't happen. But Melbourne has been a very lucky venue. And yes, if the third test is at Melbourne, the Indian team will be very, very happy.
Sunil Gavaskar, I leave it over there. Thank you very much for joining us. An uplifting note to end this year with. Fantastic having you with us. Thank you so much. I want to go across now to Deepdas Gupta, Pradeep Magazine, Sumant Raman and Vikrant Gupta on that one question that's being spoken of a lot after people started seeing Ajinkya Rahane's captaincy, about whether he should be a step-in captain or should we think of a longer-term replacement. But remember also that this is just the time when Virat Kohli has been chosen as the player of the decade by the International Cricket Council, and he's also been named as captain. So therefore, if he's just become the cricketer of the decade and he's the only player to feature in all forms, does it even make sense to think about that? I want to go across to Pradeep Magazine first, who has some strong views on this, and then Sumant Raman. Let's start with Pradeep Magazine. Pradeep.
Well, I don't have very strong views on this, but I do feel that India needs, and India has done always well under a captain who's cool, calm, and what we saw of Rahane was exactly that. Like Dhoni was cool and calm. Not that everyone has his own style of captaining, and Virat Kohli with his aggression, which he demonstrates on the field. I'm not saying that that's bad as long as he does not cross the line. But definitely what Rahane has done, he has thrown open the possibilities that yes, a change if it is needed, whenever it is needed, there is a person who may be even better. So this possibility that there is an alternative for Virat Kohli, which we thought, what will we do without him, now at least exists.
Okay, Sumant C. Raman. The possibility exists. The possibility has demonstrated its talent, its prowess at the highest levels, facing the greatest adversity. Is it just a fleeting possibility as a step in, or do you think it's time to start thinking more deeply?
I think if you go back historically, Rahul, India predominantly has had cool, calm and collected captains. Of course, Saurav was possibly an exception. He wore his emotions on his sleeve. But with possibly that particular exception, I go back, I'm talking about the last 30, 40 years. I can't think of too many captains who were overtly emotional / aggressive in terms of their expressions. Now, I'm not saying that that's good or that's bad, but I think that more than just the individual, I think we also have to look at what other teams in the world are doing at the moment. And if you look at most of the teams, they have different captains for different formats, or at least between the Test cricket and ODI and T20, they tend to go with different captains. And obviously, there has been some thinking. Yes, none of them at the moment have the equivalent of a Virat Kohli who's outstanding in all formats of the game. But even then, I still feel at some point, a call could be taken purely to allow Virat to express himself as a batsman, free of the additional responsibilities that he would face as a captain. So I would definitely think that this would have initiated the start of such a discussion, which I think at the start of the series was frankly unthinkable. But the way Ajinkya actually captained, and most importantly, how calm and cool he was. After his century, there was hardly any dancing around, jumping around, pumping of fists, nothing. And after the winning run was scored too, I think that really, I mean, it reminded me a lot of Dhoni in many ways, to see that, whether you could face adversity and you could face triumph and still not be affected too much by both of them. I think that augurs very well for Indian cricket.
So he walked in a fire full of adversity and he's come out stronger, Deep Dasgupta, at the end of it. Would you be thinking more deeply about Rahane as a longer-term captain for the Indian Test team?
Well, after this Test match, I mean, listen, it's just been one Test match, right? And before this, he's captain in 2 Test matches India has won, obviously against Australia and Afghanistan. But listen, it's just one Test match and he's done exceedingly well. Take nothing away from him or the team management, all the leaders in that side. You had Ashwin, a leader there as well. You had Bumrah, who's a natural leader, I think. So everyone stepped up in the absence of some key players. So I mean, listen, just let's hold on to our horses. I think Virat hasn't done anything wrong either. It seems like people have a problem with him expressing himself, but that's the way he is. I mean, he throws a punch in the air or whatever. I mean, that's how he is. I mean, that's maybe how he motivates himself. Listen, this was the same captain under which Indian team won 2018 in Australia. India was #1 Test side for a very long time. T20, India's had an unbeaten 11-game run, which is very, very difficult in that format. Has won, last 7 series, unbeaten last T20 series. I mean, I do understand, and it's good for Indian cricket that you have leaders, because more leaders you have, the better it is for the team. And maybe, I mean, it just augurs well that, with this series and Ajinkya coming out as a leader, more outspoken and expressing himself more as a leader, will only augur well for the Indian side. But listen, one good game. The series is not won. It's an iconic and historic win, definitely yes, after the debacle at Adelaide. And Adelaide, listen, India didn't play bad or India didn't play poorly. It's just one session. If you look at the whole Test match, India was ahead of Australia except that one session. And that was a batting debacle, and a captain can't do much with the batting, right? You are out there as a batsman on your own. And I find it a little, I'm very, very happy. And I've seen Ajinkya leading Mumbai as well. And I think he's a really good leader, good captain. He has his own captaining style, the way he handles things. But, I'm just happy that, we're getting more leaders in that side. But any team with more leaders is only going to help.
Vikrant, how did you compare the captaincy style of Ajinkya Rahane with that of Virat Kohli?
See, Virat derives his strength from the aggression that he has. And for years, we've been praising that. We would say that here is somebody who can meet fire with fire. Dhoni, yes, he was cool, he was calm. But did you win a lot of test matches outside of India? No. He also presided over a 4-0 drubbing in England and 4-0 in Australia. He achieved a lot in limited overs cricket. He was a very good captain. At the same time, Virat was somebody who came along in his batting, in his captaincy. You could see the new India, as he said. Yes, there could be a change sometime soon in 2020 perhaps, not in test matches. There's no need. Why fix something that is not broken? Like Deep said, it's just one test match. Rahane was outstanding. You know, people used to say the greatest captain who never led India was Ravi Shastri. He got one opportunity when Dilip Vengsarkar fractured his hand. This was against the West Indies. India won the test match. But Ravi Shastri never became the captain again. So there can be a good vice captain. There could be a good leader. I would in fact say that more than Virat Kohli, the captain, it is the team management which is to be blamed for the fiascos that you've had overseas. Yes, India won in Australia, but they lost in England. They lost in South Africa. They won one test match each. They would win a test match, not plan, play different 11s and then lose. So for that, you also blame the coach. You also blame the vice captain Ajinkya Rahane for dropping himself. How could Ajinkya Rahane, the vice captain, be dropped? He was part of the team management. He should have put his foot down. Now when you are saying that there is somebody who could not defend himself as a batsman in the team, being the vice captain, how do you expect him to take on a bigger challenge in terms of captain?
Okay.
It is easier being a stand-in captain. It is also very difficult being a stand-in captain where you lead your team in a game or in a series. But when you are a permanent captain, you've got to plan out 4 years. Can Ajinkya Rahane do that? Maybe he
Sumant
can.
Raman.
Can he last 4 years as a batsman? That's the question.
You know, this has just been one test match. It's much too early to make a call. More importantly, no one knows whether Ajinkya Rahane will have a permanent spot for 4 years. Even that isn't guaranteed.
Absolutely, I agree on that. But my point is, why is every major cricketing nation doing this? That is my point. I mean, obviously, all the pundits in all the other cricketing countries would have gone through the pros and cons of this. And if almost all of them choose different horses for different courses as their leaders, there must be something behind the concept. I mean, all of them do have very, very good players in the team who potentially could captain across formats. But in spite, perhaps they don't have an equivalent of a Virat. But even then, the fact that England chooses to go that way, the fact that Australia chooses to go that way, the fact that, you know, virtually, I mean, even Bangladesh is choosing different captains between their Test, ODI and T20 squads, and South Africa till recently had different captains. So, I mean, there must be something to it,
Devdas
right?
Gupta wants to
No, I
respond
think
to it.
more than test matches, Mr. Raman, more than test matches, if you need a change, that could happen in the T20s. It's the other way around. In test matches, I think Virat's achievement as a captain is unparalleled. I mean, look at his winning percentage. It's more than 50. What did Sourav Ganguly win as a captain? You tell me. Did he win any series overseas? No. But he allowed your dressing room to express themselves. He groomed players for the future. Rahul Dravid was the one who went outside and won. He won in West Indies, he won in England, and then Anil Kumble, Mahendra Singh Dhoni. It's a legacy that you take forward. And I don't think Indian cricket in 2021 should be where they were in 1999. Virat Kohli, I think you've got to let him remain the test captain. Maybe if at all there is any change, that should be in the T20s. Again, whether or not you've got time to do that, would you do that now? Would you do that after the World Cup? Nobody knows. But if there is going to be any change, that should be the T20s, not test matches.
Rahul, can I come in?
Yeah. So let's go to Pradeep Magazine first. Sumant Raman arguing passionately that look at other top teams and look at how they toggle captains given how different the three formats are.
You know, these are different questions. These other teams, see, in India, if one player is playing all the three formats and he's captain of one format, I think it will be difficult for players to adjust to different captains. There is an issue with an Indian team which is so diverse and probably takes instructions from the captain. And if the same captain is playing all the three formats, he's captain in one format and not in other format, it could be spelling trouble. But I'm on another issue, like we are debating this not because Virat is a bad captain, or we are debating this because Virat needs to be thrown out. No way. We are debating this because Ajinkya Rahane has shown leaders, not only cool, calm leadership skills, but in this test, his bowling changes, his kind of an interaction with his bowlers, allowing them to express themselves. He doesn't appear to be a control freak, which is, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but an Indian team with such diversity in terms of the classes they come from, the background they come from, the languages they speak, probably a captain who's more a friend rather than a dominant figure whom the players are scared of approaching. You know, Ganguly was an aggressive captain on the field, but he was a friend of the players. Players used to go and fight with him in the dressing room, go to his rooms and tell him that why wasn't I selected, or why didn't you make a bowling change and give me the ball. Ganguly used to tolerate a lot from his teammates. He used to allow them a lot of leverage, which helped his team to win. I think Rahane is also a man who allows, he's firm. You saw how he treated Siraj. Siraj was asking for DRS, one DRS he asked for, didn't work. And he was adamant at the next time also. And Rahane just firmly put his foot down and told him, don't come to me, no. So Rahane is a very, very, just not a cool, calm man, but he's a firm person also. So the debate here is not to remove Virat, but the debate here is that India has suddenly discovered a person, if the need be, is ready to step in.
Deep Das Gupta is itching to come in on the point that Pradeep Magazine made about different captains for different formats.
No, I completely agree with Pradeep ji, because if you look at the Indian side, first of all, what other countries do, I'm least bothered, to be honest. What
Ken Williamson is New Zealand captain across all formats.
Even struggle to get a test captain. Joe Root isn't the best captain that they have. They're struggling to get a captain. So let's not even go there. For example, Tim Paine was made the captain for a totally different reason. So let's not go by what other teams are doing. Tim Paine doesn't play. Morgan doesn't play test match cricket. Tim Paine doesn't play white ball cricket. So let's not compare other teams. Let's just focus on what we are good at and what we've got, the resources we have. And like Pradeep ji said, if you have almost the same team playing almost all three formats, if you see there's a lot of common players, there'll be at least 5-6 players who play all three formats in this side. So that becomes that much more difficult to have two different leaders with two different leading styles and captaincy styles with almost the same group of players. So that brings a lot of maybe confusion, maybe overlapping of roles there. So that's one of the major, I believe, issues that we really need to look into when we're thinking of a split captaincy. And also, I mean, you know, this calmness and all, as far as Ajinkya is concerned, he's been the vice captain for 2-3 years. I mean, as Vikrant mentioned, he's part of that leadership group. I mean, everything happens, something happens, we blame the captain, but end of the day, there is a leadership group and everyone, the senior players, and I was obviously impressed with how he led the side, but also impressed with how Bumrah handled the bowlers. It was Bumrah who was going and speaking to Siraj. It was how someone like, Ashwin stood up as a leader. I mean, Ashwin is a great leader. I mean, he comes across as a leader, a natural leader. So is someone like Bumrah. He's only, 15 test matches, 16 test matches old, but he comes across as a natural leader as well. I just think it's a little more complicated as far as India is concerned, and I would definitely not go by what other countries are doing.
I think leadership in any walk of life has a shelf life. I remember Steve Waugh, when he was the captain of Australia, he said you should be captain for not more than 5 to 6 years. That's when your ideas, you don't have too many newer ideas. He said you should keep changing your leaders every 5 years or 6 years or 7 years or whatever. I think what Virat needs to do is, he needs to reinvent himself. He's too good a batsman. Maybe at times when he is playing in Australia, he can get a century. But he may not be able to empathize with a batsman who's having a bad time, who struggled a lot. So maybe for Virat, it is difficult. For Rahane, it is easier because he's gone through that same path. He's struggled. And I think in terms of cricket, there can be a captain and there will be a leader. A captain is somebody who's got that cricketing acumen. He knows how to strategize and he knows the situations. He can preempt or read the situations well. I think at times when Virat and Ravi Shastri, when India went to South Africa or England, even Australia, they would at times not be able to read the situations too well. So their 11, the playing 11 that they had at times was flawed. This is just a test match. I'm not saying Rahane would be able to read the situations. And then there's a leader. There can be two leaders. I will go and lead from the front like Virat Kohli. I'll show you how to score runs. And there can be somebody like Ajinkya Rahane. I will try my best, but also you give me your best. And this is how I will get your best out. Virat has been a very good captain for the faster bowlers. Remember when Dhoni was the captain, he was a line length captain. He would want pacers to be bowling on that line length and that's it. Virat has told his fast bowlers to go work on their fitness. He's told them to be like the Pakistanis of 90s. So that is a credit that you've got to give him. Yes, under Virat, batting's been a problem. It gets hidden because Virat himself would score runs. But others were not able to find a permanent place or the kind of form that Virat was in. And I think as captain, what he needs to do is to have that continuity. He needs to rely on players, give them an opportunity. For 10 years, you had the same number 3, the same number 4, the same number 5, and the same number 6. So there were a few players who could not play Test cricket from 96 to about 2008 because you had a Rahul Dravid, Tendulkar, Lakshman and Ganguly. They were not born overnight. They were built over a period of time. So that is what Virat needs to do with the batting order.
Okay. Final words, Sumant Raman, as I end this conversation.
I just want us to go back into history again. How many legends as batsmen have been great captains? And you can count them on the fingers of one hand because in the last 20 to 30 years, of course, the most obvious glaring example would be our own Sachin. But look, I think that there is something to it. A player who's so supremely talented and supremely gifted sometimes finds it difficult to actually understand why somebody not so talented or not so gifted as him is not able to perform or do it when the man himself is able to do it so time and time again. So that does become a problem. And it's been well known in psychology that a lot of leadership issues boil down to this. When a bowler sees a captain, when a fielder sees a captain express his emotions over a dropped catch, which he has just put down, different people react differently to it. Whereas, you'd like a little bit of encouragement from the captain, okay, this doesn't matter kind of thing. So these are issues which come up in leadership. So I'm not saying for a moment that Virat Kohli is not a good captain. His record speaks for itself. But perhaps unburden him a little bit in one format at least, whichever format the selectors and the committees think it fit. But I think that we'll have to learn the lessons of history and just cannot say that, just what others do is of no relevance to us. Go back and look at history, look at Greg Chappell's or look at Brian Lara's or look at all the legends of the past and see how many of them, Sachin Tendulkar, how many of them were great captains.
Okay, of all the debates we could have had around Indian cricket, this is possibly the best because it reflects bench strength, it reflects options, it reflects how you can change 4 players and still come back after losing in the last test match and win such a handsome victory.
But that's what India needs to be careful about. You would win a test match overseas and then lose
and then get really excited.
Because Australia's done the same thing. They won Adelaide, they thought they were there. India dropped catches then, Australia have dropped 7 catches now. So in Australia, it is the vices of a victory which you've got to be careful of.
Well, hopefully...
Can I say something?
Yes, Deep. Final words, I'm out of time.
I mean, listen, again, I'm not averse to a change in captaincy and all I'm saying is do it for the right reason, that is one. Secondly, I also think if this team kind of plays the way it has for the next 2 test matches, obviously there is something that Ajinkya is getting right. And I think, as Vikrant mentioned, I just want to reiterate that maybe when Virat comes back, maybe he should have a look at it and see what worked in this series again, if it works again for the next 2 test matches, and be a little more open about his style. Maybe it's time to adopt a few more things, from maybe Ajinkya. Maybe this next 2 test match of this series will again bring forth the leaders that you need in a side, more voices in that side, more democracy in that side.
And you don't need to be a superhuman batsman to be a great captain. I think Ajinkya Rahane showed that. But the key question is what happens over the next 2 test matches. There's a
very famous tale. Imran Khan, when he was the captain, the team would be led by Javed Miandad. Miandad would take all the decisions on the field. Imran would protest. Miandad would still take the decisions, but Imran was the overall leader. So that was how Pakistan achieved so much.
And that sounds like the ISI and the Pak Army now with Imran Khan as Prime Minister. But I leave that for another occasion. Deepdas Gupta, Pradeep Magazine, Sumant Raman, Vikrant Gupta, and before that, Sunil Gavaskar for joining us on the news track. Wish you all a very happy new year. Great start to the new year for the Indian team. Hopefully they'll carry this form into 2021 because it really uplifts the soul of the nation, makes everyone just so much happier, gives everyone something to smile about. Thank you so much for joining us. Hello everyone, this is Rahul Kamal here. Hope you enjoyed this video. For the latest news and analysis, like and subscribe the India Today YouTube channel and don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated.